Worried by the recent security breaches in some states, President Tinubu again summons security chiefs.
The annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is not a collective decision-making body, but its impact in the respective areas of responsibility to solving our most pressing issues.
World Economic Forum experts gather in Davos, Switzerland to provide urgent solutions to dwindling global economy. American court orders return of more than $8 million stolen assets to Nigeria. Hello and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello, and joining me from Lagos is Adeola Komiakeri. Remember, you can watch this broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. Our President Bola Tinubu this Tuesday had another top security meeting with the service chiefs and other heads of security agencies. The meeting also included Minister of Defense Muhammad Badaru and his counterpart from the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. Although details of the meeting are yet to be made public, State House correspondent Musbah Don Mahab reports that the meeting was not unconnected with the current security situation in some parts of the country. This meeting followed an earlier one held about 2 weeks ago, where the president commended the heads of security agencies and demanded better results in peace and stability with the country. A minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has emboldened residents of the territory with assurances of safety. At an emergency security meeting in Abuja, the minister stated that the administration, in collaboration with security agencies, are on top of the situation.
We are not sleeping. I'm very much aware of the security challenges in the territory. These were the words of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike while briefing the media before the commencement of the emergency security meeting with heads of security agencies and area council chairmen held behind closed doors. The minister discloses that they owe it a duty to make the nation's capital safe and secured.
I'm aware that sometimes too the press overblow what is happening, but all of us are concerned as the Federal Capital Territory that houses virtually every Nigerian. We owe a duty to make sure that this place is safe. We'll do all we can, and we're sure Nigerians who reside here that there's no need for panic.
Nyesom Wike also made it known that he will not be happy to receive the news of area council chairmen shying away from their responsibilities, especially when there are security challenges in their various domains.
This time around, we will not be happy where area council chairmen will abdicate their responsibility and travel out.
The emergency security meeting is a sequel to the recent kidnappings and other security challenges in the FCT. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, security agencies have resolved to adopt a multifaceted approach involving the use of technology and collaboration between the personnel and communities along Kaduna-Abuja Highway for relevant intelligence report to address the resurfacing security challenges on the highway for safety of travelers. This took place during security meeting with Kaduna State Government and traditional rulers. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports.
The heads of security agencies and traditional rulers are arriving for the meeting for an urgent collaboration to discuss strategies of addressing pressing security concerns in the state, particularly along Kaduna-Abuja Highway, to effectively stop the resurfacing security challenges.
There was security on the Kaduna-Abuja road for about 18 months until the sudden, unfortunate and disturbing attack and kidnapping. The recent occurrences on that axis clearly indicate the opening of a front on that route, and this points us strongly to the need for renewed focus and coordination.
The security agencies unanimously agreed that ending the problem requires proactive measures such as the use of technology, regular updates, and collaboration from all stakeholders for intelligence information sharing to stay ahead of the evolving threats, promising to intensify effort to deny the bandits any action on the highway again. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Marajinki, NTA News.
The federal government is strategizing to strengthen its defense cooperation with France to curb the menace of terrorism, banditry and other forms of criminalities in the country. The Minister of Defense, Mohamed Badaru Abubakar, who received members of the French Parliament and Defense Commission, hinted that areas of interest would include procurement of military equipment, training, among others.
If the French government can support Nigeria with a lot of equipments that will help reduce the insurgency level and help our troops to have more equipments to fight the insecurity and the insurgency. As you are aware, Nigeria is the biggest economy, but also the population is huge. And if Nigeria gets destabilized in Africa, the whole region will be destabilized. And I believe it is for the interest of all nations to support us to fight the current insurgency and militancy as well as terrorism.
Agreed that the relationship will remain mutual through military diplomacy, which would be extended to tackling security and other illegal activities hampering the peace of the nation. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and Group Chief Executive Officer NNPC Limited, Mele Kirari, have inspected a vessel loaded with stolen condensate at Warri South area of Delta State. The Chief of Defense Staff reiterates that crude oil theft is an act of criminality that must be stopped immediately. Lydia Sampson reports.
Armed with the resolve to stop crude oil theft and increase production in line with the renewed Hope 2024 budget, the NNPC Limited, in collaboration with Tantita Security Services Limited and security agencies, have sustained the onslaught on crude oil theft across the gamut and value chains. Looking through the helicopter window, perhaps calculating how the entire landmass of the Delta can be combed to win the fight, GCO Mele Kirari appears set for the task ahead. Finally, at Okweruza, Bamatu Kingdom, the boat ride may be indicative of the multifaceted challenges ahead. The Group Chief Executive Officer and his team inspected the vessel on which 23 suspects were apprehended with 200,000 liters of condensate intercepted offshore Bayelsa State. The collaboration with top armed forces leadership brought the Chief of Defense Staff to the side, and he did not mince words in reeling out military warning.
It's a high-powered delegation, all the way as directed by the Commander-in-Chief. We're here based on the report of the arrest of this ship that we're on, and I think it's a major achievement. It shows that we're committed in ensuring that we stop this criminality within the maritime environment.
He reiterates that fighting crude oil theft is one fight the federal government is determined to win. Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
To global economic matters, growing concerns and heightened geopolitical tension damaging an already shaky global economy-dominated discourse are at the start of the annual gathering of the world's business and political elites in Davos, Switzerland. Chinese Premier, President of the European Commission, Ukrainian President and UN National Security Advisor are among high-profile speakers addressing delegates at the Swiss House Congress Center. Haman Jabani reports that the official theme of Davos 2024 is rebuilding trust.
Political and business leaders from across the globe are in Switzerland for the annual meeting bordering on global risks and challenges. The Davos meeting taking place against the backdrop of conflicts that includes Israel-Hamas war, three potential flashpoints: Ukraine, the Middle East, and Taiwan threatens to overshadow the meeting of the World Economic Forum, aimed at rebuilding trust after the series of setbacks suffered by the past 4 years, including war, COVID-19, and the cost of living crisis. In his address, founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, warned that the risks of disinformation in a year that sees major elections across the world, and in the long term, it knows the danger of environmental collapse.
The annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is not a collective decision-making body, but its impact stems from the new insights gained through dialogue and interaction, and more importantly, from the commitments made by each participant to contribute more significantly in their respective areas of responsibility to solving our most pressing issues.
European President told the delegates that Ukraine's ally must guarantee stable support for Kiev amid questions over future support from the United States and EU, while Europe needs to improve in the field of artificial intelligence. In his address, Chinese Premier Li Qiang condemned green and technological trade barriers. He said looming climate and environmental risks are the biggest threat, as well as loss of biodiversity and increased competition for natural resources. Other world leaders across business, government, and broader society are expected to address the delegates. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
And to assert recovery, the Royal Court in New Jersey, the United States, has ordered the assets worth $8.9 million stolen by undisclosed government officials in Nigeria around 2014 can be returned to Nigeria, following the service of a forfeiture notice by Jersey's Attorney General to the Royal Court in November 2023. The court concluded that the funds deposited in Jersey bank accounts were likely misappropriated by officials in the Nigerian government in 2014. Negotiations for the return of these assets will now take place with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The transfer of money was disguised as a government-sanctioned contracts for arms purchases during the Boko Haram insurgency in Nigeria between 2009 and 2015. The Jersey government indicated that it is likely that a significant portion of the funds earmarked for genuine arms transaction was redirected through international bank accounts associated with some companies. President Bola Tinubu is determined to remain a Democrat and focused on progressive values that will sustain the developmental legacies of former President Muhammadu Buhari. It was at the public presentation of collection of books appraising the personality and administration of the immediate past president. State House correspondent Musbau Demrahab reports.
First official physical reunion between the sitting president and his immediate predecessor, a moment reminiscent of the alliance which birthed the progressive movement and changed the political landscape of the country till date. The assemblage also included notable past leaders that have had their spell in shaping the history of the country and some faces that bring back memories. Indeed, documenting history was the purpose of the gathering, with 5 books titled Muhammadu Buhari, The Nigerian Legacy, and another named Working with Buhari from the perspective of his former media and publicity advisor. Separately, the books trace the ascendance to presidency, appraise the 8-year administration, and somewhat clarifying some misconceptions about the personality of former President Buhari.
That leadership makes the difference. President Buhari drew water from an empty well, and the legacies are there for the country to follow through.
For me, Buhari is a conviction. Not just our former president or somebody I served. For me, it's a conviction.
As authoritative as these accounts are, Some of the untold hilarious side of the former president was also let out by no other than his then second-in-command, Professor Yemi Osinbajo.
The president said, warn your cartoonist, warn your cartoonist. My chin is not as long as he usually makes it.
The man of the moment prides the transparency and accountability of his administration, but believes this collection will serve as one-stop shop of his administration's stewardship to the country.
We kept records of our stewardship, knowing that we will always be required to account for the trust entrusted to us. This event today is part of the accounting for our 2 terms in office, and I thank those who have labored day and night to ensure that this history is recorded for now and the future.
I hope you will be convinced by the presentation that would make that much was achieved and acknowledged and commended. I congratulate you for your services to this country as a political leader and a military icon.
The Buhari administration was since over, but his successor and close ally says his path remains a direction for the present in pursuing greater development for the country.
People would not realize the interconnectivity necessary for economic growth in our rail project, in our port project. How vital it is to the economic growth of this nation. A silent worker, a man who is a very, very organized and disciplined individual. President Muhammadu Buhari, thank you for what you've done.
Former President Muhammadu Buhari has run his course, and Asiwaju is now the man in front. Another history is being written for posterity. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
You're watching the Network News. We take a break now. More reports when we return. Thanks for being there. And an explosion has rocked parts of Ibadan, affecting Bodija Agbo UI axis of the metropolis. Although details are still sketchy as to the cause of the explosion, a popular mall in Bodija has been reduced to rubble. All right, let's now join Funke Ibidamito in Ibadan to keep us up to speed with happenings from there. Funke, if you can hear me, please, can you keep us up to speed? Funke, can you hear me? Funke, can you hear me? Can you keep us up to speed with happenings around? Funke, please, can you unmute your audio? Okay, I guess we'll have to establish contact with Funke when the network is much more favorable. Okay, let's move on now. Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal says the recent Supreme Court judgment on the state governorship election has reinforced his confidence in the nation's judiciary and the federal government. He made the remarks while addressing a crowd of residents who gave him a rousing welcome as he returned to the state after the Apex Court's verdict, which upheld his victory at the polls. Jamilu Ibrahim has more.
The recent judgment of the Supreme Court, which upheld the election of Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal, has brought to an end the legal tussle between the APC and the PDP concerning the March 2023 governorship election in the state. Governor Lol, who returned to the state after the Apex Court's verdict, received a rousing welcome by the residents, especially the PDP supporters. Governor Lol maintains that the Supreme Court's judgment has not confirmed the mandate given to him by people of Zamfara State, on which he will effectively continue to deliver.
You have started seeing the new development in Gusau town and some few local governments, and very soon we will cover all the 14 local governments.
Governor Lol said the development has further reaffirmed his confidence in the nation's judiciary and the federal government.
They have done extremely well by ensuring justice has taken its course. In spite of all the challenges, I also want to thank the federal government for not interfering into the judicial system.
Other speakers at the event, including Zamfara State Deputy Governor, the Speaker of the State House of Assembly and the State PDP Acting Chairman, observed that the warm reception accorded the Governor is a clear demonstration of the confidence people of the state have in his administration. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
All right, let's join Funke back in Ibadan to give us an update of the explosion. Funke.
Yes, thank you, Jide. I'm right now along Awolowo Road, where we have the ACES Mall. About an hour ago, there was this very loud explosion. Nobody knew where it was coming from. But right now, we were able to pick the fact that the ACES Mall, some people speculate that the lift there, the gas inside the lift exploded. Right now, nobody's really able to say what is happening, but we have people all gathered here. Initially, everybody disappeared, but now we have the fire service. We have people all over the place just waiting to find out exactly what is happening. But I must tell you, it was really a bad one. It was a panic attack, as most houses along Bodija Road were affected. In fact, it was almost like a tremor. We could not ascertain whether it was a bomb blast, it was an explosion, or nobody could tell exactly what was happening. I'm right here with some members of the public, but nobody is ready to speak. As they said, they don't know exactly what is happening. But we're still trying to find out. I will perhaps move into the mall. They have cornered off some areas and are not allowing people in. So for now, I can't tell exactly what is happening inside the AC mall. Jide?
All right. Okay, Funke, from what you just said now, that the people around there are not willing to give you information, I would have loved to know whether you were able to find out if there were casualties and maybe have they been taken to the nearest hospital for treatment?
Yes, we got some clips earlier where there were claims that there were casualties and they were being moved to the hospital. But as at now, we have been able to ascertain the number of casualties that are actually on ground.
All right, many thanks, Funke Ibidamita, for giving us, keeping us up to speed on the explosion there in Ibadan.
Definitely
many thanks for your input.
As development unfolds here.
Many thanks, Funke. Many thanks. Now, moving on, the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in an appeal filed by PDP's David Buhari challenging the victory of Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State on the conduct of the 2023 governorship election. This was after all parties in the appeal adopted their briefs of argument. Olabode Arewa reports that the Apex Court also entertained Aminu Bande's appeal against the victory of Governor Nasir Idris of Kebbi State.
Following the judgment by the Court of Appeal Abuja awarding the Nasarawa State governorship election victory to Governor Abdullahi Sule of the All Progressives Congress, his main challenger, David Buhari of the People's Democratic Party, approached the Supreme Court seeking to overturn the verdict. INEC, Governor Abdullahi Sule and the All Progressives Congress, who are the respondents, prayed the Supreme Court to dismiss Buhari's appeal for lacking in merit, as he did not support his claims with credible evidence. The five-man panel of justices led by Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, after hearing the parties and deliberations, reserved the judgment to a future date. David Omugadu is building on the success at the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, where the court had declared him the winner of the election.
We have urged the court to restore the judgment of the trial tribunal.
Meanwhile, the court also reserved judgment in Aminu Bande's appeal, challenging Governor Nasir Idris' victory at the trial and appeal courts. In his initial petition, Aminu Bande alleged that Governor Idris was not qualified to participate in the Kebbi State governorship election, that his deputy, Abubakar Tafida, allegedly used a fake school certificate to contest in the election, and that the election was marred by election irregularities. The deputy governor, Abubakar Tafida, who is the third respondent, also tendered evidence that he claimed showed that he was issued with a school certificate in 1982.
Our expectation is that the court will affirm the concurrent findings of both the tribunal and the Court of Appeal.
The entire election should be nullified.
The case has also been adjourned to a later date from the Supreme Court. Olaboderewa, NTA News.
Now to the health sector. Nigeria has received $14 million grant from Rotary International under the supervision of the World Health Organization Nigeria. Uche Ugochukwu reports that the Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, at the grant presentation ceremony, says the fund will be used prudently and for the eradication of all variants of polio by 2030.
This grant is a direct outcome of the compact between the Nigerian government and its development partners, which is a comprehensive sector-wide strategy aimed at revitalizing the nation's health sector. The different grants totaling $14 million to support routine immunization and polio eradication in the country through WHO surveillance covers one-year activities which must be fully expanded between 31st March 2024 and 2025.
We hope to use the money well, and they should be accountable to the ministry through the National Farmer and Company.
I commit the organization to put that money to good use and to manage it with transparency and accountability in the spirit of the health sector renewal investment initiative.
If you support surveillance, you also strengthen the ability of this country to anticipate, surveil, but also respond to other infectious diseases that could threaten our national security and also global security. So there is a bigger picture within which this contribution actually fits.
Professor Pate applauded Rotary as an arrowhead of polio eradication around the world for over 40 years. He pledged Nigeria's full support to the visit of Rotary International President billed for March 2024. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Away from health, the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, is encouraging the new management of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, NSE, to promote the training of more female engineers in the country to develop inclusive solutions. Director General of the NTA, Saliu Abdulhamid Dembos, gave this challenge to the new NSE President, Margaret Ogutala, as she paid a courtesy visit. Justin Bemoyi reports.
Margaret Aina Oguntola, the 34th President of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, NSE, happens to be the first female to occupy the seat in its 65 years of existence. This is her first visit to the NTA since her emergence as the President of the NSE. She comes with a focus on re-imaging and rebranding the society. She appreciates the long-standing relationship, support and partnership the NSE has gotten from the NTA, soliciting for more, and wants the NTA to key into NSE's development programs for professional development to be abreast with emerging technologies.
So we want to urge you to please encourage even more of your members to not just join or come to conference every year, but like Esther Alushi, also participate effectively in the activities of the NSE.
During your tenure as President of NSE, you may wish to look into policies that will promote the education of more female engineers and their subsequent recruitment. You may also need to pay close attention to the issue of frequent building collapses due to non-adherence to standards or engagement of non-professionals in the building industry.
After a successful election, Margaret Aina Oguntola took over the presidency from Tasiu Saad Gidari Wudil, whose tenure elapsed on the 21st day of December 2023. Tenure for the NSC presidency lasts for 2 years. Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Over now to Adeola in Lagos to keep us up to speed with happenings from the Center of Excellence. Adeola.
Thank you, Olajide. Series of extreme weather events characterized year 2023, with the United Nations declaring it as the warmest year on record. Accordingly, experts are calling on the nation's environmental stakeholders to intensify advocacy programs aimed at creating awareness on the need for a strategic approach to mitigating the effects of global warming.
The World Meteorological Organization has confirmed 2023 as the warmest year on record with a huge margin. Global temperature for 2023 exceeded the pre-industrial era figures by 2.43 degrees Fahrenheit. Experts have linked the many extreme weather events and natural disaster in year 2023 to climate change, warning that this could spiral into 2024.
2024 may be hotter than the year 2023. One of the things that will help in reducing the temperature, especially for urban areas, are trees. And our trees are being cut down indiscriminately by some states and without recourse to any environmental assessment to know the impact of this.
Already, some states have started experiencing early rains and flash floods. Environmentalists consider this development as an early warning sign for all hands to be on deck. Lagos State, for instance, with its fast-growing population, is already bedeviled with the challenges of rising sea levels, coastal flooding, and erosion.
Definitely, it should be taken as a warning and all the necessary measures to ensure that the drainages are effective, that drainage areas, either natural ones or ones that have been developed by the Lagos State government, should be left cleared and not blocked.
Climatologists also say there's urgent need to check human actions that cause global warming, such as burning of fossil fuels, consumption of environment unfriendly household items, pollution from transportation, and other factors. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Nigerians have applauded President Tinubu's move in the reduction of number of persons in his entourage for travel and those of the Vice President as well as their spouses. Respondents say the development has been long awaited as they expect other arms of government to imbibe similar policy.
Immediate cost-cutting measures, presidential directive for federal public officials' entourage for local and international travels by 60% covers the president and vice president office with their spouses. The new directive, which is to effectively cut recurring expenditure and financial wastage by drastically reducing the number of officials on such travels, will also affect offices of ministers and agencies under them. Many Nigerians have been bearing their minds on the subject and also suggested areas the funds should be deployed.
That's a step in the right direction.
We have been expecting such thing to happen. And we know anybody like this attempting to do it is going to be fought. We expect more of it as people demand for us to put things in their places.
Well, basically infrastructure. Nigeria is a very rich country. We have everything, natural, agri, the weather.
Financial analysts say the level of cut in the cost of governance should lead to substantial savings.
So not spending all that big money for those trips, having them retained in the coffers of the government for allocation to other uses, means that we can reduce our borrowing by that much that we will have saved. And that will be a great achievement.
And for us to be able to see the effect of this, I think the onus now lies on we citizens to continue to put pressure on government, because we want to see where this money that is going to be freed now, where it is going to be moved to.
The need to revise the recently passed federal budget to cut all wasteful and unnecessary items to fund the productive sector of the economy and the much-needed social investments, especially the three key areas which include education, healthcare, and the migration of millions of Nigerians from poverty, were also suggested. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
And we are done from Lagos. The network news will continue with Ayodeji Makinde on the AFCON updates. That will be after this break. To stay with us.
Updates. I'm Ayodeji Makinde. 2013 finalists, Stallions of Burkina Faso, needed a stoppage time penalty to beat Mauritania by a lone goal in the first match of Group E. In a match which saw the Burkinabes dominate possession, Mauritania gave a good account of themselves, registering 9 shots, 4 of which were on target, but could not hit the back of the net. English Premier League side Luton Town defender Issa Kabore won a spot kick in the 96th minute, which Bertrand Traore converted. In the other match of Group E, Orlando Pirates of South African midfielder Dion Kavenji scored the only goal as Namibia beat Tunisia by a lone goal. Later on Wednesday, Atlas Lions of Morocco take on Tanzania at the San Pedro Stadium in Group F, just as Democratic Republic of Congo weigh up Chipolo Polo of Zambia for size, as match day 1 of 3 group stage fixtures end. Now, AFCON reigning African Footballer of the Year, that's Victor Osimhen, and of course defender Al-Hassan Yusuf, have no injury worries ahead of the crunch tie between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire at the Olympic Stadium in Ebimpe on Thursday. There were fears in the last 24 hours after both did not fully participate in the training session of the team. Super Eagles team coordinator Patrick Pascal, in a telephone conversation with the NTA during the team's training session, affirmed that Osimhen had a recovery training, while Al-Hassan will be available for selection by coach Jose Pesero, barring any unanticipated issuance from the medical team after a detailed analysis. Now, Osimhen scored the equalizer in a 1-1 draw for Nigeria against Equatorial Guinea in the first match on Sunday, and Nigeria is joined second in Group A with Equatorial Guinea after Cote d'Ivoire beat Guinea-Bissau 2-0. Captain of the Super Eagles, Ahmed Musa, scored for Calm ahead of the match against Cote d'Ivoire on Thursday. Musa, who is one of 2 members alongside Kenneth Omeru, who won the title in 2013, assured Nigerians that the team would not disappoint in its quest to not only reach the final, but lift the trophy on February 11.
All the game is AFCON. In AFCON, it's not that easy, not only because we are playing Ivory Coast, so it's going to be very easy. All the games are not easy. So we are going all out because we know the importance of the game. We have to win the game to make sure that we have our one step ahead of us. So inshallah, we'll do all our best to win that game. Yeah, the energy, the spirit, everything is high, just like the way we are thinking since from this beginning of the tournament. So the spirit is high. We are just waiting for Thursday to come to go out there to give all our best to win the game.
Captain of the team, Ahmed Musa, officiating at this year's tournament, has seen 2 red cards issued. African referees who officiated at the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar are among the 68 involved. The effective use of the VAR looked impossible 6 years ago on the continent, but now Africa is exporting the best of adjudication on and off the field. With us on the network news is Promise Uwaeme, a CAF IT referees instructor. Good to have you join us, Promise. Promise Uwaeme is joining us via Zoom here in the Federal Capital Territory. Promise to have you join us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh yes, it's good to see you again. Yes, tell us, we've seen matches decided at the Africa Cup of Nations. 2 red cards issued so far. What's your impression of the level of officiating at this year's tournament?
For me, like I always say, nothing when it comes to officiating doesn't happen overnight. It's not rocket science. It's all about preparation. CAF started this journey far back 2013, 2014, up to 2016, and we're seeing the result from how well African referees can actually perform. I'm not surprised with the use of technology, with the performance of the referee. Interestingly, you also see that we're having a pool of young referees that will stand the test of time. For me, generally, I would say the officiating has been fantastic.
Now, tell me, there are no Nigerian referees, which was quite disappointing when many of us saw it here in the country. Is this really any cause for concern, or are we really moving in the right direction, perhaps towards AFCON 2025?
Again, I would say it's not rocket science. If you must be at the AFCON or be at the World Cup, then you must be prepared. You must be ready to do what you must be on the same train with CAF development with regards to refereeing. At this point, I think yes, the present referees committee is doing their best to see that our international referees catch up to speed with what CAF is doing. We hope and see what happens in 2025. But then, for me, I would say so far so good. It will still take us some time before we'll have referees at the AFCON.
Promise Uweme, CAF IT referee instructor, would like to thank you for joining us on Network News.
Thank you very much, Ayo.
I'll be conversing, of course, with Promise Uweme here in the Federal Capital Territory via Zoom. Now, let's quickly go back to the Africa Cup of Nations because the final match of today is still ongoing, and we're just about now rounding off the first 45 minutes of that match between the Eagles of Mali and Bafana of South Africa. Of course, well, time now to go on a break. And of course, when we return from the break, remember you can watch matches of the Africa Cup of Nations on the terrestrial platform of the Nigerian Television Authority. And then business news with Benny Adams will be next.
54th World Economic Forum set to enter day 2. The president of the European Commission says global risks limits countries' ability to tackle the big global challenges being faced, from changes in climate, geopolitics, shifting demography and technology, in addition to regional conflict, hence the need for cooperation.
Time to build trust. This is a time to drive global collaboration more than ever before. This requires immediate and structural responses to match the size of the global challenges. I believe it can be done.
We know the most urgent issues that countries and companies face: security, the economy, climate change, cyber, potential new pandemics are not confined by borders. They do travel without passports. And the same holds for true opportunities. Frontier technologies can add trillions of dollars to the global economy annually. And our economies can be transformed to be more resilient and equitable. But we can only unlock these benefits by working together. Trust.
Oil prices were mixed on a Tuesday after losses in the previous session as markets weighed broad economic concerns against weather-related U.S. demand-supply issues and continued tensions in the Middle East that led to more tanker diversions. Brent crude futures rose 5 cents to $78.20 a barrel, while the contract had earlier settled 14 cents lower. On Monday, the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was down 20 cents at $72.48 per barrel after a U.S. public holiday on Monday. When it took a market, a brief look, investors gained 1.82 trillion naira as the all-share index advanced by 3.39%. The market closed higher by 3,329.48 basis points, ending the day with a positive market breadth. The all-share index advanced 3.39%, closing at 87,970.37 basis points. The total volume traded advanced by 34.82% to close at 1.09 billion naira, valued at 16.5 billion naira, traded in 14,835 deals. Well, that is business news. Network news continues after this break.
But that's it on the network news. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.